Hello and welcome to another standard video here on the official MTG Arena channel. Today we're taking a look at another rotation ready deck, so you won't lose any cards with the upcoming standard rotation. And as you've noticed, we're still going to be able to play with Shieldred in the upcoming standard, although Shieldred's not the focal point of this deck. Instead we're playing a skeleton aggro deck, which gets to play with a full set of Corpses of the Lost. This is probably the most important card in the deck from Ixalan, an enchantment that creates a 2/2 skeleton pirate when it enters, and then all skeletons we control get 1 extra power and haste, and we can even pick up Corpses of the Lost to maybe make more skeletons in the future. If we descend it this turn, we can pay 1 life to take it back in our hand, and it's pretty easy to descend if any of our creatures die, for instance, as long as they're not tokens, since tokens don't enable a descend. So yeah, Corpses of the Lost is awesome in a deck that has some cheap skeletons, such as our Cold Conscript. Now this one does enter tapped, so not the best if we play it later with corpses already in place, since we won't be able to attack with it, but Forsaken Miner from Outlaws of Thunder Junction is perfect here as a 2/2, cannot block, doesn't matter if we're being the aggressor, and then we can even get it back from the graveyard if we commit a crime by paying a black mana, and it's pretty easy to commit a crime in a mono-black deck between discard effects and targeted removal, and we even have 3 copies of Sandstorm Verge in our mana base, which can prevent an opposing creature from blocking, so that's useful to get in more damage, but it also counts as committing a crime, so that can also help get back the Forsaken Miner if we have the mana for it. And then a Tiny Bones Joins Up is another excellent way to commit a crime, and whenever another legendary creature enters, we also get to mill the opponent for 1 and make them lose 1 life. So Tiny Bones is awesome alongside the Punisher, which we can then play and immediately commit a crime to maybe get back a black spell out of our graveyard. And Tiny Bones Joins Up is also great with Gisa the Hellraiser, as we can now play our 5 mana legend, immediately commit a crime to make a pair of tapped 2/2 zombie tokens, but they're actually 3/3s with menace, since Gisa will pump them up and any existing zombies or skeletons we have, and then Gisa has some built-in protection with Ward 2 and forcing the opponent to pay 2 life, so it's going to be difficult for the opponent to profitably answer Gisa, especially not on the cheap. So then Gisa is kind of our curve topper here, as we mentioned, alongside Shieldred, and then we also have some more cheap skeletons with Tiny Bones the Pickpocket, which can also commit a crime if it hits the opponent, also just a 1/1 death touch, so good at playing defense. And then at 2 mana we have more skeletons with a Case of the Stashed Skeleton, making a skeleton token with menace, so that can also be hard to block for the opponent. And if our opponent removes our token, now we get to solve the case and sacrifice it for 1 on the black to search up any card in our deck, so that's another way to maybe access our curve toppers like Gisa or find our key Corpses of the Lost. And then we've got the Deep Cavern Bat as more hand disruption, also a 1/1 flying creature that's perfect to draw additional cards with Gix Yawgmoth Praetor, so that way we get to draw more cards and keep fueling our crime synergies. And then, speaking of crimes, Go for the Throat remains one of the best removal spells in the format. And then at 3 mana we also have a 1/of Liliana, which we can also maybe tutor for using our Case of the Stashed Skeleton, can make the opponent sacrifice or discard cards, and if we use the -2 it also counts as committing a crime since it targets. And then at 21 Swamps as well, so the mana base is quite budget friendly. So yeah, that's our deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Okay, we're on the play with double Corpses of the Lost, so we just need 1 more land and we're in business. The turn 1 miner can start applying pressure. So yeah, just a 3rd land away from glory, hopefully. Opponent on red aggro with Kumano. That one's not going to stay in standard for too much longer. So we can answer their 2-drop. If they have a Slick Shot, they might plot it here to waste our mana. Opponent taking out the miner. It will be back eventually. And our opponent seems to be stuck on 1 land, so their hand is all spells. Could be a good sequence to double Go for the Throat before we play another Corpses of the Lost. Opponent drawing with Ancestral Anger, they found a land. And another Anger, sad we couldn't respond with Go for the Throat. Although now that they only have the 1 creature in play, we can probably wait on Go for the Throat, and Tiny Bones Joins Up. Plus another Corpses looks good. Could also get back the miner actually, and then still Go for the Throat, that's also a pretty nice sequence. Now we do have to be careful, because etching can potentially exile the miner if they have a burn spell. But we could maybe respond with Go for the Throat. So I'm gonna let the opponent untap in case they have a scarier creature they want to deploy. Codebreaker is still acceptable. Opponent attacks with both. So now the problem is, if I Go for the Throat and they have another Play with Fire, they could respond and exile the miner, so that kind of puts me in an awkward spot. So let's go to block, see if they have a response. Maybe I just Go for the Throat to Codebreaker at this point. And then if they want to exile the miner, I can still follow up with Corpses of the Lost and get the opponent to 1. Opponent had an Ire instead. Pumping their creature, no artifact to destroy at least. And now another Corpses is certainly lethal. Sweet. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We have our Corpses and a good curve. So, definitely keeping. What are we playing against? Turn 1 islands. Alright, it's gonna be tricky to resolve our 3-drops. But at least we have instant speed removal to answer any opposing threats. Opponent blue-black and Rona. Good target for Go for the Throat. Could have also untapped, played Liliana to minus, but I prefer getting my enchantment down, which can apply a lot of pressure. And then if our opponent's plan is to play creatures to try and block, we have those covered. Opponent's got their own Liliana, so I can sack the conscript and maybe get it back later.
Off you go.
And for now, could play my own Liliana and start plussing, discarding a land for starters, since there's only one 5-drop in our deck that we might miss out on.
Enough with the mysteries. You won't be outsmarting me.
Opponent discarding Atraxa, so this might have been a mistake. Opponent's on a Reanimator deck, it seems. Could also ignore Liliana, go face, since it's not the end of the world if they make us discard a Go for the Throat. But we're probably still several turns away from presenting lethal, so taking out a Planeswalker is maybe not a bad idea. And then we can pick up our enchantments, since we enabled it. And then next turn we can make another skeleton. Opponent's got another Rona, can minus Liliana to get rid of it. So, given the opponent's build, I'm thinking they're on Reenact the Crime Reanimator deck. So they kind of need to discard the card they want to reanimate in the same turn that they bring it back. So yeah, had we maybe attacked our opponents, they would have been at 1. But it looks like we still got there. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. Our hand's heavy on the discard, but Deep Cavern Band plays well with Gix. As a flying creature, can hopefully take the opponent's removal, and then Deep Cavern Band can draw some more cards. Opponent on a Fight Rigging combo deck, discarding the namesake card. And yeah, they've got a Lockdown, which is probably what we have to take here. And then the next bats can maybe go after Fight Rigging. Although I could deploy Gix in the meantime. Yeah, if we play Gix and then they play Fight Rigging, they might have Hammer Skull in their deck to enable it as a 6-powered creature. But now with Go for the Throat we can take out a future Hammer Skull. So I feel okay playing Gix. Also triggers Tiny Bones. And if we wanted to, we could also target ourselves just to hopefully mill a Forsaken Miner. So that's always worth considering. But in this matchup my life total could matter, so I'll avoid taking unnecessary damage. Corpses was a great draw. Opponent deploys Fight Rigging. So now I either want to play bad to check out their hand, or keep up Go for the Throat. So it's a bit risky to tap out for corpses, even though it would be pretty nice alongside another Tiny Bones perhaps. Let's maybe start by attacking, see what we draw, and then go Deep Cavern Bat, keep up Go for the Throat for maximum interaction. Alright, Gisa's looking good if we can hit our 5th land. And now play another Bat. Taking their 4-drop, and then they may not be able to cast anything next turn. Still a bit risky to tap out. If they top deck a Hammer Skull, I might regret it. So keeping up Go for the Throat is reasonable. If I play Conscript, what happens? Next turn I could play Corpses, and then that would pump Conscript, so then we're attacking for 11, not quite lethal. So yeah, let's just play it safe and keep up Go for the Throat. Opponent plays Appraiser, so they top decked another one. And this could maybe hit the +1/+1 counters and lifelink until end of turn. Instead hits another Fight Rigging. So we'll let that resolve, but we'll Go for the Throat before they get a chance to grow with the Appraiser. And then next turn, even if Quintorius hits another Appraiser, we might be okay. If they hit Hammer Skull, then all of a sudden they get double Fight Rigging going. So that could be bad. So now we just want to apply maximum pressure, or we could once again draw and then maybe find another Go for the Throat to keep up. But going Miner plus Corpses presents a pretty fast clock. And our opponent would need to get pretty lucky with Quintorius next turn. But yeah, with the Discover 4, that is possible. Let's still go for this. And then I might draw into a land I can play second main and then still play Conscript. Since it enters tapped, it's not quite as good to play alongside Corpses to give it haste. But I'll keep drawing. Still haven't found a land. Alright, there we go. And then now the question is Conscript, or I could also play another Tiny Bones. Put my opponent to 2, and then next turn a Hasty Skeleton could also be lethal. Yeah, I guess we'll play Tiny Bones. Opponent still needs an untapped land to play Quintorius, for what it's worth. And this also enabled Corpses, so I could pick it back up, but we have another one in hand, so I'll keep the haste for future Skeletons. Alright, opponent hits Appraiser, which finds, yeah, lockdown, so opponent gets most of their stuff back, but we still have the Corpses and Gigs in play. But we've got multiple ways we can win. Playing another Corpses will do it, Hasty Skeleton with Menace, or could minus Liliana. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. Our hands may be lacking a bit of removal. Liliana can always minus, but we'll be on the draw, so it's less likely to be impactful. And then we still need to hit a couple extra land drops. But turn 1 Miner, turn 2 Bats, and then our best card, Corpses of the Lost on 3, hopefully, is still a reason to keep. And we found our 3rd land, so we have a very nice curve coming up. Opponent mono white with Thalia. That's gonna affect our enchantment as well, and our Go for the Throat, but we can still play the Bat. And yeah, Brutal Cathar, Adelan, some very powerful humans that will rotate out soon, but for now we do need to deal with them. So what's a bigger problem for opponent plays Adelan next turn? They can immediately attack, make a token, versus if I leave them with Cathar, they can take the Bat, but then we could Go for the Throat Cathar to get it back. So I think Adelan is the biggest problem if they play it on curve. Also, if the opponent generates a token, then Liliana's minus looks a lot worse. Although now Veteran into Vanguard's pretty good too. And another Go for the Throat, so it now costs me 4 mana to try and answer Thalia, so we probably have to deal with the Vanguard first. And just send the Bat. Wouldn't be able to target Brutal Cathar, but can wait and see. So exiles bat, opponent gets back Adeline. And then can go for the throat now, can wait for them to attack, doesn't matter. Opponent is playing it safe, just sending in the veteran. Keeping Thalia on defense. Alright, so now could play Corpses of the Lost, but I think we need to get back our bat to grab Adeline here. And then the Miner still doesn't have a great attack. Opponent's got some pretty good cards left in hand though. So not loving my position. If we can get the Hellraiser down, it's maybe a way to compete with all the opponent's tokens. Now Skrelv also very effective against our monocolored deck. And opponent feels comfortable maybe attacking. Still keeping Thalia back. So yeah, we can play Gisa, although I wouldn't be able to commit a crime. Pumping the Miner, giving it Menace, still doesn't let me attack since our opponent could double block with First Strike and Other Creature, and then Miner as a 3/3 still dies to Thalia. But it's a start. Could also play Liliana and then plus, in which case I might have wanted to discard my land just to get Adversary out of the way. But getting to 5 mana seems nice. And then next turn, once I Liliana minus, we'll commit a crime for Gisa as well. Opponent found a replacement, Adeline. That's also problematic. At least Gisa can try and block one creature, so they might have to use Skrelv to sneak past it. Okay, so we'll block the token then. Could still plus Liliana to get their last card. Discard a land. Because of Thalia I can deploy both cards. Otherwise we could have gone Corpses first and then plus Liliana while empty-handed. If I minus Liliana we trigger Gisa. That's gonna be pretty good here. And then now I can attack with a Miner, because if they double block they would lose the Vanguard. We do have Menace, so can single block. And then probably fine to play my land out. Don't expect to keep Liliana in play. Opponent's got another veteran, so still missing a land to play a bigger adversary. We'll see if they try and protect Adeline, or if they want to trade it for Gisa. Right, they're gonna name red. Probably not what they were intending. So now all of a sudden I could trade for Adeline. Since I don't have another way to commit a crime, maybe I just take the trade. We still lose Liliana, but then Corpses a way to pump up my zombies. Still gonna be tricky to get past Thalia as a problem. And then once their opponent lands Adversary, we could be in trouble again. So, yeah, it's a tough call. Maybe I do need to top deck another way to commit a crime. And then for now we lose Liliana anyways. Get to eat the token. And then take it from there. Yeah, if trading for Adeline would save Liliana would be a different story. Cold Conscript, not our best draw. So play the Corpses. And then Conscript enters tapped. So do we want to attack with anyone? Opponent does have Thalia back on defense now, so it does still hold back most of my attackers. Unless we want to send in multiples. Well, if I send a bat, they can trade for Phantom. They get a replacement Adeline. How good is that for them? Problem now is if they just start using Skrelv on Adeline, it's also pretty fast clock naming black. So kind of between a rock and a hard place. So it might be time to just start swinging for defenses. We'll save the bat for now. So this has them taking 10, and we lose our zombie. So now our opponent would be trading the Phantom maybe for one of our zombies. Alright, so this doesn't matter. And second main Conscript. Alright, let's see if they finally found a fourth land. With Skrelv protecting Adeline, they're pretty close to presenting lethal. Opponent with a Knight Errant instead. Finding Vendor and another Vanguard. So sneak past with Adeline. Opponent's gonna gain some more life. I can do some math here to figure out if blocking the human is worth it, because then our opponent would gain another life. Can we somehow present lethal? So our opponent's got 4 blockers. They're at 9. We do have a lot of creatures with menace. Is there a big difference between the opponent at 9 life or 10 life? Yeah, it's unlikely to matter, given the current board, I would say. So it's probably still fine to block. But always good to double check. Well, we needed a good top deck and found a swamp. So next turn we die to Adeline, so may as well swing for the defenses here and see what happens. If Thalia had 4 power, then Gisa would not have been able to attack, because then they take out Gisa and all of a sudden we lose the +1/+1 bonus for regular damage. So always careful with Lords and First Strike. So what happens? We deal 10 damage here, and that's before our opponent gains any life back, so yeah, this might do it. Opponent's at 0. Phantom would maybe gain them some life, but it's too little too late. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. Our hand is full of discard effects, which do complement each other nicely. And then Corpses is a pretty nice turn 3 play. Got a Sandstorm Verge to get past any blockers or to enable us committing a crime. And our opponent seems to be on the Boros Tokens deck with no 1-drop. That's somewhat surprising. Deep Cavern Band sees Thalia, reinforcements, and another recruiter, so opponent kept somewhat of a slow hand. So Thalia's probably what we take, so we can still play Corpses on 3. And then the bands can gain us some life back. And I'm fine showing them the Sandstorm Verge maybe, in case Liliana ends up plussing. So I'm okay trading for the opponent's tokens. And then next turn we can double spell Bat plus go for the throat. A token dying does not enable Descend. Opponent with another reinforcements. Not sure why they're main phasing them. But now we can still grab their recruiter. And then it's reasonable to take out Officer before they can activate it and find more creatures. So yeah, both players kind of on empty here. But if we find a skeleton, it's gonna get pumped and have haste. Vanguard only pumping the actual human, this is just a soldier. So yeah, we can take 3 and then gain 2 on the way back. And Case is pretty good here too. Get in for 5 now. And if our opponent stays back to trade for the skeleton, we'll solve the case and maybe grab Gisa, which can then immediately get some zombies thanks to Tiny Bones. And now the Punisher, a good draw as well. Triggers Tiny Bones, get back, go for the throats, take out the Vanguard. So yeah, the Tiny Bones joins up, perfect for committing crimes without needing to spend any additional mana. And the life gain from Deep Cavern Bat kind of makes up for the life loss. Does our opponent have a removal spell? Ganjo, okay. Get Thalia back. But now we can pick up our enchantments, since we descended. Can still cast it for 4 mana. Plus we can't forget about Sandstorm Verge as a way to maybe clear a blocker. Night Iron's a good one. And double Adeline, the find. Okay, so if I play corpses, still can't really attack on the ground, versus if I cast Go for the Throat, I can still get back a Deep Cavern Bat, which admittedly doesn't do a whole lot when they have double Adeline, but still pretty sweet here. And our opponent concedes. Awesome, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. We've got a promising hand. Facing a red-black. Got some early skeletons. No Corpses of the Lost just yet. That's always a card we're hoping to draw. But 2 removal spells and a Shieldred. Could still be good against another mid-range strategy. Alright, opponent's got the board wipe, so at least the case is solved. Would have been nice to play Gix with creatures on the battlefield, but I think I'm okay just playing it now. Force the opponent to play a blocker or keep up a removal spell, and if they play a blocker, Go for the Throat can still clear a path. So would love for them to tap out for their own Shieldred. Opponent's got another Brotherhood's End instead. Okay. Well, time for Shieldred, I guess. And then I'm not sure what to search with the case. Could be Corpses of the Lost, I suppose. Especially if we hit a 5th land. Now with the Elder Dragon War. So our opponent's definitely prepared for the tokens matchup with all these sweepers. But makes a dragon. That we can handle. So I think we wait on sacking the case, so we can play Corpses right away after searching it up. And then for now we can play Deep Cavern Bat. And maybe answer the dragon. Opponent with Obnixilis. Which, I guess if they make a devil, that answers the bat. Another war could also answer the bat, and case is good if they're empty-handed. I guess just taking the Elder Dragon War makes the most sense, since it's a clean answer to my Deep Cavern Bat. But yeah, the case of the Crimson Pulse could also be problematic. And then we can attack, see if our opponent wants to chump. I doubt it. But I will go for the Throat before they get a chance to sack the dragon to Obnixilis. And then if they play Obnixilis and just make a devil, we can still finish off Obnixilis with a bat. Alright, find a replacement. So now I think we still attack with Shieldred, even though we know they'll be able to chump and take out my bat. Because then I'll just play another one. And then I could also get back Conscript from the graveyard.
Not worth the effort.
And take Elder Dragon War. Conscript will shield us from Liliana minusing. So we've got most angles covered. Shieldred also punishes the card draw from Crimson Pulse. And our opponent explodes, so yeah, Shieldred remains a very powerful card in Standard that is not going to rotate out, so may as well play a few copies to synergize with cards like Gix, but it's also the type of card that can carry you if you're facing these more mid-range or control strategies, which might have some sweepers for your smaller skeletons, and then it's nice to have Shieldred that can stick around and maybe slowly drain the opponent to death. So yeah, mono black skeletons seems to be the real deal, and yeah, this deck already ready for the upcoming rotation, and it may even pick up some new tools in Bloomburrow. We'll have to wait and see. But for now, I want to thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.